Hello everybody, I'm Cory Mitchell with TradeThatSwing.com. Gonna start a new segment where we basically look at some of my favorite trades. There'll be trades I took, or it might be a trade I missed, but I just loved the setup. Basically, the idea is to imprint what we do well and our favorite setups just over and over again. We just want to imprint those on our minds so that when we see them, we hammer them. There's always going to be those trades that don't work out, so it's easy to get stuck in a trap of always thinking about what you can do better, thinking about those losing trades, but we want to imprint our best trades as much as possible. So this week, I have an article here which you'll be able to see on the website, and a bit of reflecting the last month and a bit. I took some time off from day trading, really deciding how do I want to proceed. So my mornings changed a little bit. I'll have to trade a little bit later. Just my partner needs me in the morning for some stuff and getting everyone out of the house before trading, and that's totally fine by me. We just start a little bit later. And I also decided I wanted to, I've gotten good at holding swing trades, but with the day trades, when I'm actually sitting there watching the charts, I can do it sometimes, but I really wanted to master the hold. So if you just get one of those big trending moves that continues to play out on scenario, I call it, when it's just doing what you want, and higher swing highs, higher swing lows, to be able to hold that and really maximize the big moves. So that's part of my process. So some changes, of course, the hold and the little bit later start. So that meant I kind of reworked how I want to trade. So I'll still be trading the old way, but also adding in some new ideas. And how I find the stocks has changed a little bit. So these are the stocks I was watching on Friday, and I've set it so that you can see here. Basically, this is the chart. These are the charts I was looking at Thursday night. So I run a scan, pretty simple scan, basically stocks that are up 10% or down 10% in the last week, and a few other criteria. So I have an uptrend one and a downtrend one, stocks that are either up 10% and above all their averages and moving up basically, or ones that are down 10% in the last week and below all their averages. So you can see a couple here down, these two, and all the rest up. So really strong moves recently. And some just due to their big movements make it onto the list. And then we can actually see how Friday unfolded in each of these. So I'm running my scan in the evening, and then I have a list of stocks for the next day. One that I had wasn't moving, so this one I actually found during the day, early in the morning, because it had a gap up and was already starting to run. So let's get to the ones that I really like. So we can see, some of these other ones ended up okay. This one a bit of a dud. I didn't like the volume on it. But let's go with IONQ first. So this one, you'll also notice 2-minute chart. This is partially because I'm watching 8 stocks with 1-minute charts. Once you get a little bit of time going, you have so many candles that they become very congested. So 2 minutes, it does clean it up a little bit too, in terms of, you're just seeing a little bit less detail. Nice drop off the open. Recall, this stock was in an uptrend on the daily, been very strong. So Friday, we don't know what's happening yet. Thursday, really strong up day. That was a beautiful day. So that could have also been, if I had started the trades of the day segment, this would have probably been the one on Thursday. Anyway, so it sells off. We get below, I have a volume weighted average price here. Not sure if I'm going to keep it, but for now, that's kind of part of the strategy. This kind of new holding type thing I'm trying out. So this one's going against that long-term trend. Another thing I added in, since I'm trying to hold, maybe if there's big long-term momentum, not necessarily long-term, but the last few days, lots of momentum to the upside. Potentially, it could reverse or it could continue, so I'm kind of trading it, but I am a little more, I would say, biased to whichever the trend direction is. So this one, nice drop. We have a bit of slowing here, if I recall. So this drop total was 6%. And then if we go from this high to this low, oh, pretty close. In real time, this looked like it was slowing. Like this big drop looked bigger than this drop to me, but it could just be the kind of wicks in there. Either way, so I was thinking this was kind of slowing, even though this is a big drop, but lots of wicks in there, really whipsaw, so that, a little bit threw me off a bit. But basically just a classic TC type entry here, but we stall out. We drop, can't make it to a new low, then we pop, then we try to drop again. So remember, this is 2-minute candles, so we're getting in here, so we're, this is probably a minute left in this candle, then we have 2 minutes here, that's 3 minutes, that's 5 minutes, that's 7 minutes, 8 minutes once it starts getting back up here. Like this fizzled, like it just was not going. I was out kind of around probably 4 or 5 minutes into that stall out there, and pretty much a flat trade. This one, we have this sharp move to the upside. It gets quickly retraced, but I still liked it overall. Like this down move couldn't go. We have a pop to the upside, higher swing high. We look at this one relative to this pullback high. So I was starting to get a reversal to the upside and entry there. So, a little hard to see. It's like kind of a hidden TC because this wick obscures it a bit. If this was a big green bar and then a red bar, it'd be easier to see. But basically, we shot from down here to all the way up there. A little bit deeper pullback. Still, we're in that kind of whipsaw-y. But again, I'm looking at, this is a 2-minute start. I know my stop loss is going to be a little bit bigger than it would be on a 1-minute chart, which gives a little bit of room. And I have a target up here, so good, decent reward to risk, 2.6 to 1 if it gets back up toward that daily high. So the idea of holding is that you hold through that first pullback, especially once now we've had a rejection at the low. We are potentially starting to go back in that long-term direction on the daily chart, and we get the pullback, gets kind of close to the stop loss, but doesn't hit it, and then nice big move to the upside. Again, so much chop in here. So this one, you can see my notes, really grindy. Had to really talk myself through this one to keep holding it, but basically like that first one didn't go anywhere, so it felt like, okay, that bottom feels like it's in for a little while, and we are moving to the upside. It's whipsaw-y, but basically the stop loss was originally here. It gets moved up to there after this big green bar, so once it moves to a new high, it gets moved up. Then we're basically waiting for the pullback. These were kind of whipsaw-y. They didn't really seem like a pullback. We finally get that pullback, and it's like, okay, if it moves up again, we get to move the stop loss up. So that's what I was telling myself, because it was always like, I tend to think about giving back the profit, and if you're thinking about that, like this is hard to bear, right? Because you were up this much, and now all of a sudden it's pretty much gone. And so I started to change the thinking of like, you know what, if we hold a bit, wait for that pullback. If that pullback is above this one and then it starts moving up again, hey, we get to move our stop loss up. We get to lock in a bit more capital, more gains. So yeah, from here to here to here, from there to there to there, and then same thing. This one starts pulling back, so our stop loss is down here now. Wait for the pullback. Doesn't move up until we have the pop up. And this one kind of fizzles out, doesn't move up to a new high. This also, you know, already slowing here. We have this strong up move, a lot of chop. This one barely makes progress. This one already put me on alert. I discuss it in the article. And yeah, wanted to just pretty much, if this doesn't go, we already had the slowing over here. Where's my box? Oh, this one. Right there is slowing there. Strong move up, weak move up. Barely makes a new high. And so that puts me on alert. Then this one's basically, we have our stop loss here, but we're in for this next push, and we get to basically see how that one acts. If it doesn't keep pushing, we just get out. If that had surged to a new high, while this is happening, I'm basically trailing the stop loss up with each candle. Once it starts, if it moves to a nice new high, like up here, I back the stop loss off. Whoops. Where was that? Originally there. I back this. We can get rid of this actually. I'm going to back it off and put it back down here. Then we get to wait for the next pullback. And then in that case, it would get moved up there. But this one didn't run, which is why in real time the stop loss is sitting there, because I already know it's slowing, so I'm going to trail this with each candle as the price pushes higher. Then if it does push up into an area where I say like, okay, the slowing's done, it's actually starting to move back very well to the upside again, then I back that off. And that basically allows me to stay in a trade, but also get out if it starts to slow down. Let's look at another one. So this one came onto the list in the morning. I had another one, I didn't like the volume, or it was just super flat or something, so then I go to the list I have on the website, and it's linked to in this article, basically the stocks in play. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. So this, I like using the trading view one. If you scroll to the bottom, you can see basically how to set this up for stocks that are moving well in the pre-market in the morning. So this was 9:45 is when I can start taking the trades. Now that's partially due to the morning being a little bit later start for me now, so I have some time starting at about 7 or Eastern time, 9:25 to 9:30. I kind of have a bit of time to prep myself. And also this, if we look at this article, this is something I wrote quite a long time ago, and I've kept updating it. Stock intraday repeating patterns. We see that kind of 9:45 is often a big pullback or reversal time, and that sets up well for those hold type trades. So we often get the move up, then that kind of 9:45 time we get a decent pullback where we kind of get to see, is that move in the morning going to continue or is it going to reverse? And that's often what happens around this time. So here it sticks, right? So we have the move up, and then I'm not trading till after 9:45. So then I'm waiting for a signal. It's above the VWAP. Daily chart just exploding. We don't know what's going to happen on the Friday, but this is what the chart would have looked like Thursday night. And then Friday morning, we would have just been able to see that it gapped up a bit. So where's my chart? So really nice, and this is what we call a double pump. So we have the move up, a pull back, a move up to the same swing high, a pull back to basically the exact same low, and doesn't cut in much to the initial move up. We have a huge move up here, almost 12%, and this cuts a little bit into it, but basically like a 4% drop out of the 12% rally. So things are looking good. So this is a nice entry for a double pump type trade. You could also think of it as a second chance entry on a TC. And then this pops. This is, I would have ideally liked to have seen this pop a little bit more, and ideally that pullback stay, outside this range or just barely get back into it and then start running to the upside. If that had happened, I would have wanted to add to the position here because it's just getting going. In this case, it pops a little bit, and I was a little bit skeptical because then it pulls right back into the range, but this bounced so quickly out of there. So original stop loss is right there. Then once this starts moving to the upside, it moves to there. And then really nice run to the upsides. This is kind of one of our classic TC type trades where it's just a sharp move up, pull back. I should probably use a different color for those not to confuse people, but we have a sharp move up. We get a nice pullback. We're waiting for a trigger. That is a long. So if you're not in yet, an opportunity to get in. This an add. So we're long here. We add to the position here once it starts. And when we're buying this, the price is already moving up. So we're buying in this area once it's moved above this candle. So we can, right once we get in with the add, we can move our stop loss up. So we're basically in a pretty much no risk situation, because even if we get stopped on this, yes, we'll have a loss on our add, but we have a decent little profit here on the initial position. We have a big volume spike here. That's something I added in. When we get these bigger, about approximately 3 times average. In real time, I'm looking at it basically visually. I'm not measuring it exactly. But if it's a pretty big spike, about 3 times what kind of average has been, that's get some of it out. Whatever position I have, I'm getting some of it out. So it's just offer it out as soon as you see that volume spike. So that bar was a volume spike, so just offer some out in this area. It doesn't matter what price gets them out. Because after those, you tend to get, these either big whipsaw or kind of a pullback, and so some out there. Then we have another pullback, but notice the slowing here. So this was an exit. Let's make a line that's blue or something. Okay, compare the size of this wave. That's basically where it ends, to this wave. Right, like this one's way smaller. So when we're at this point, right, we see this up wave, like, hey, it's pretty nice, but it's a lot smaller than this. That means we are in a slowing situation. So we just got some out because we had a volume spike. We're also in a slowing situation. Our stop loss is here, we're fine. If it pulls back and hits it, okay, we're out. But we do know we're slowing. So hold. We get a nice little pullback. I'm not going to add because we had slowing here. This was a little up wave. Lo and behold, we get another little up wave. Pretty good sign to get out, because now we can really see this is slowing. So just like with IONQ, we are trailing. So we have our stop loss here. Then once this pops, I'm basically moving it up with each candle, and I want to see if this has a really nice pop, I'll back it off to here, but basically it's getting trailed as each candle forms. As the price moves up. So if it gets way up here, I'll back it off. But since it got to right there, my stop loss is going to be trailed right behind that candle, because we're still just barely making progress. We're in a slowing situation that has to be rectified somehow, which means we need a strong move above the prior swing high. If it's near the prior swing high, just barely above it, that stop loss is going to be trailed aggressively until the price moves aggressively above that high. So the slowing situation has to be rectified, otherwise it's an aggressive stop loss situation. And I mean, in hindsight, it looks really good. Of course, didn't know this would happen, but we did have the slowing, and so that was a good option to exit the rest of the position there with an aggressive trailing stop loss. And you know what? And if this had gone up a little bit more, the stop loss would have been backed off to here, and then we're out there, and maybe we get a little bit of slippage. But either way, it still was a good trade. Looks, you know, maybe a little better than in hindsight just because it dropped so much. But yeah, it was the smart play to get it out. Also, this was only a little bit of the position left. Got a chunk out on that volume spike. So basically, I really liked these trades. I liked psychologically how I handled them. This was a grindy one. It was tough to hold through. I wrote notes to myself. And yeah, some of them are going to be tougher to hold than others, but ultimately didn't hit a breaking point where, you know, you make the mistake. And so those are the things to watch for, and I'm really looking for those in the trades. Like, if I did make a mistake, why did it happen? How did I break down? What was the price action like when that happened? What kind of triggered the mistake? What brought up the emotion that brought the thoughts, which brought the action? And so these didn't do that. This one was a lot cleaner movement. Even once, you know, this ad, like I said, we're kind of in a no-risk situation. This one wasn't too bad. This one was a tougher one to hold. Really grindy, whipsaw-y. But sometimes it's not going to be perfect, and you know, it's not always going to be moves like this. So it was nice to, even though this was grindy and not perfect, being able to hold for, you know, a bigger gain than what I probably would have otherwise before, you know, probably would have got out pretty quick and missed out on a fair bit of profit. So just working on the hold for the intraday. And yeah, these are the kind of trades I want to imprint and just go over them again and again and every day. Try to look at some of the best trades of the day that I had, whether I took them or not, and just be more ready for them next time. And yeah, hopefully me going through my charts helps you out a bit too.